since I was on. Thought I would take a minute. It's kind of been crazy since I got back from Charleston. I mean, not Charleston, Chattanooga. Um, Sorry, I'm struggling with a severe psoriatic arthritis flare. And so, um, I've been wanting to get on, but with Christmas and everything going on and the craziness of that, my birthday, it just kind of made it a little bit difficult. And so I thought, well, let me gather together because I know some of y'all have heard through the grapevine that I've visited a quilt shop that sadly is closed now. The last day was the 27th of December. And I had been wanting to go, I wanted to go in November, but I was sick for 3 weeks. And then I took off for Thanksgiving on Chattanooga. And then I got back and, so I snuck off on the 26th. It's about an hour from here to see what might be left. And excuse me. And I thought it would be just go in there, see what's going on. Never really kind of been a busy shop, and it was crazy. Thank you, Yo Patty. Thank you for joining me. I'm gonna try and find y'all on my phone here so I can see the chat while I'm talking to you. Sometimes that's always interesting. Let's see. I did go on. It's been about 3 weeks. So anyway, now up so I could see the chat because it comes up and goes. Morning, Joyce. Thank you for joining. Happy New Year. So the parking lot was packed, and I was there about 45 minutes after they opened because I got a little bit of a late start. And inside it was cray-cray, but it was kind of fun. There was, a lot of locals. It was mainly like 50 to 60% off, and then you got an extra 15% if you killed the bolt, and notions and thread and everything was on sale. Let me check my volume. Sorry about that. Maybe that's better. Sometimes I get my dad's preacher voice on, see if that's a little better. Thank you, Yo Patty. I know you haven't, Joyce. I know there's a time. Good morning, Loretta. Happy New Year. So, yeah, it was packed in there, and like this one lady, this one group of 3 ladies, I was looking for something specific, and I saw this stack of bolts. I mean, there must have been 125 bolts, if not 150, and I found what I was looking for, and I asked if it was somebody, and these 3 ladies had accumulated all of these bolts, and basically they were going for bolt end, but they were very kind. The lady was very kind and gave me a yard of one piece that I was looking for. I'm gonna have to get a little bit more because I have a panel. Patty, is that better on the volume? Because I turned it up. I think I need to get little bit of a better system. So, but I also, I had to go into town. I think it was Monday. I had to go into the oh yeah, they were supposed to have my medicine ready on Sunday that I take like for 2.5 years every Sunday, and they didn't have it ready till 30 minutes after they closed. I got the notification, so I had to go in early Monday morning. Well, I stopped by Hobby Lobby to see what they had for their after Christmas sale, so I'm going to start there because I haven't folded it. Now, I know that there's 2 camps, no wash and wash. I grew up with the wash. Granted, they don't have as many chemicals and stuff as they used to, but I like to get the bleeding, the shrinking, and any of the chemicals that they do use, plus all the finishes to make it anti-dust and the handling off of it. And then I fold it and I use it. Now, if it's smaller than a fat quarter, no. But That's a personal thing. I don't know why, because I've got that doesn't make sense that my volume's low, because I got it all the way up. There you go. I know I need to get a new iPad, but I can't afford it. I also need to get a better speaker, but um, let me see if I can. Anybody else having trouble with the volume? Let me see if I can switch out earbuds. Maybe my earbuds low this morning. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't know, Joyce. Hopefully maybe if you go out and come back in, maybe it's your YouTube. Because I've got everything up and I've raised my voice. So anyway, when I was at the lab, I picked up another piece of this. I did fold this. They had a good sale. Okay. I'm low on Loretta's side. I'm not sure what to do because I could try my other earpiece. But anyway, I had gotten some of this before, but they had, the extra after Christmas. And I just think this is fun, and I do a lot of dog fabric. Let me switch over to this earpiece. Thank you, Yo Patty. Let me switch over to my other one and see if it's the one I normally use is low. That could be. My volume all the way up. So let's see if that helps. Sometimes YouTube is weird. Now, I picked up 2 things from Valentine's because it's already 50% off. Thank you, Yo Patty. And then I didn't remember seeing this before. So I really like this. I have a lot of people who like rainbows for what God created rainbows to be, no offense. And it has the little tiny hearts in it. And that's how I see rainbows, is how the Bible created them to be. No offense. That's me. And so I got some of this because I figured this would disappear. I have a rainbow loving great niece who also loves unicorns, so she's got me into being a unicorn collector. And then I found this adorable fabric. And one of the reasons why I haven't folded it is my hands and stuff are giving me fits. And I got short arms, but I'll get to it. In the Valentine section. And of course it has my dachshund doing the flying thing and adorable. And I know there's lots of different things that I could do for this that may not even have anything to do with Valentine's. It's got this cute corgi, and the only thing it doesn't have is my beloved basset hound. But they don't always get them both in the same piece. So, thank you, Joyce. And then I grabbed up some of this heart fabric. And what's interesting about this heart fabric is about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, I saw this in a quilt shop. Same pattern by a designer. And this one says brother and sister, I think. But I have some on the shelf that a little piece I picked up from the quilt shop. Yeah, this is brother and sister. And it looks identical. So, did the designer that designed it for the quilt shop? Who knows? But this again, yes, it was in Valentine's, but you can use this for many different things all through the year because who doesn't love hearts? Now, I don't know. I had to go up to Clinton, which is about a 50-minute drive, to pick up a sewing machine that Deb had gotten, and it sat here for a couple of years, and my serger, which turned out to be a blessing because I had gotten a serger from them when I took it in 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. They were supposed to have them finished, and they didn't, because the tech got sick. So, anyway, I had told them to go ahead and not fix the serger, because I had the other one. And when I got there, the lady says, "Well, I was just getting an estimate, but I was so close as to figuring out what was wrong, I went ahead and fixed it. And since you hadn't authorized it, Merry Christmas." So that was a real blessing. But they have this table there, and they have old quilt books mostly. And most of them, like this one, are $2. The sticker on this one says $26.95 from 2000. So I have picked up a few different ones. I have a couple nickel quilt ones from the early 2000s, but I picked up this one just, oh, it's interesting. This is if you can get a hold of a copy of this, this is a really, and maybe I've shown this before, but this is a really cute book. And basically, this book was written off, and I got this in the mail this weekend because I found it for a $2.99 sale. It's based off the Quilt Maker's Gift book, and it's really a beautifully written story about a quilt maker who makes quilts for the poor and the needy, and there's a greedy king trying to pressure her into making a quilt. And they even put in here 250 quilts you can find. Do like a hunt and find. And then she wrote The Quilt Maker's Journey, which I also picked up, and just came in. Well, I didn't know about that till I got this book. That she wrote a quilt book off of that, and then she wrote this one, which is more quilt, but it's beautifully done. It has stories in it. It has beautiful quilts in it. And I actually was able to find used the original, which is quilts from it. So this one here. And this one was used. So I think I paid $4 for it instead of the $17.95. And it's in excellent condition. The only thing is a clear sticker that says made possible by Hugo Elementary School PTA. But it's got the same beautiful, and I have not had a chance to read this because this Quilt Maker's Journey just came in, and they have the same beautiful mural type of thing on the inside of the dust cover. I love hardback books. I wish they would make more hardback books. But look at these beautiful quilt blocks, and that just are part of the story. And then you can get, but I didn't know what jewel I was stumbling on when I got this. And I've had so much fun going to, look at this. But I've had so much fun going to, and she tells bits of the story. And so anyway, if you look, you can find them. Sometimes it takes patience to find them, on Amazon or something secondhand, used very good for a really good price. Because this $2.99 book I got on sale was sold at $21.99. That's on the inside cover. I couldn't afford that, but I could afford when I finally saw it on sale. So anyway, and she also had, gotta move these because I got my little stacks going again. She also had these 2 spools of oilfield thread in a bin of clearance. This is in Clinton. In a bin of clearance, and there were stickers all over the place. And the stickers on these were, I think, $3.99. They were about the only colors she had. And so And when I took them up, I said, I don't know if this is correct or not correct. I said, you've got 40 stickers are floating around the bin and you got 2 or 3 different kinds. She goes, well, I'm not sure, but she says, Merry Christmas, and threw them in the bag. So I got blessed too that weekend that I really didn't have time to go to Clinton to pick up the machines to get these 2 spools. These 3 spools of Orfil, if you haven't guessed, Orfil's my favorite. Thank you, Joyce. Yeah, God is very, very good. Loretta, thank you, Yo Patty. It is a very nice collection, and Joyce, they are cute. And Loretta, I'm glad that you love the books. But now we're going to the quilt shop that was closing. It was closing on Saturday, December 27th, and on the 26th, I went out for a short drive and decided I'm playing hooky for the day, and I went up. They only had these 3 colors of Orfil, and these 2 are close, but they're not exactly the same. I wish they had more for the price they were selling them for, but they had stripped the bin, and I'm sorry if my hands are a little dirty. I use them every day. I washed them this morning, but it seems like with my crutch use, everything catches with my hands. It does not take long, and so throughout the day I'm cleaning my fingernails and I'm trying to keep my hands clean, but I work with them and I walk with them. So we're going to go through this because I have a friend who's been wanting me to show what I got at the quilt shop. And we're going to start with this. Now, here's the interesting thing. And one thing that I noticed was different than at Joann's during what I call the pandemic, is like that lady. Hey, I called a week ago to see if they had some of this because I was going to try and squeeze in coming up, and they said they were out. I have the panel. Will you share it? And she shared. Sherry, welcome in. Happy New Year. Thank you. But here, you know, there was a lot of give and take, you know. I stood at the cutting counter for about 20-30 minutes, and it was like a lady was oh, I'm only getting a yard, so I'll pass it to you. And so bolts were getting passed around. So that was fun. You know, it was just nice to see because people could go, I got here first. I got here when they opened. But the panels were buy one, get one free. Most of the panels were $8 a piece, so that's $4 a piece. So I got 2 panels. I got this one, which glows in the dark. All the dots and the squares glow in the dark. I just thought it was kind of cool. I know that I can use the squares for a quilt or individually, but it was just kind of glow in the dark fun. And, you know, like I said, it was controlled chaos at the quilt store with people bustling about and trying to get things cut. I mean, honestly, the only thing that I would have critiqued a little bit would have been that they would have gotten their checkout system figured out, because I waited in the checkout line for 2 hours. Took me 2.5 hours to check out because they didn't have, like, she decided in October to retire. Well, they didn't, like, put down when a bolt costs this much, this will be the discount. So they were typing in each thing and then doing it on the calculator and coming back. So it took a very long time. But, you know, now I'll show you the other panel in a minute, but with on Christmas, I brought out some key fobs for everybody that was at family Christmas, and Christine, my niece, 2 of her friends that are like family, said she needs frogs. So I was trying to think of something good frog. Well, I found a Carolina blue glow-in-the-dark frog that kind of it's the same collection. And then I found this really cool multicolored frog that glows in the dark. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but sometimes if you put the light on it, let me see if I turn this off, if that helps a little bit. But yeah, you can kind of see the little shapes around the frogs glow in the dark, even with the little UV light just on and off of them. So I just got a little bit of this, and then I killed the bolt on this to get the extra 15% off, because I figure everybody loves glow in the dark. And I'll tell you what, I only have done one kind of glow in the dark key fob, charged a little extra for it. They were out of there. They were astronauts. So I got my frogs. And she loves Carolina, so Carolina blue is perfect, so I can make her too. Mona, welcome into the house. Bronca, thank you for coming in. Thank you, Sherry, for popping in. Happy New Year. I just went to a quilt shop that was closing on the 27th, and I hadn't gotten there like I'd wanted to, so on the 26th, I was out doing a little errand, and I decided to drive the hour there and play hooky. But this was the other panel, and I wish they would have had two, but my sister Deb loves hot air balloons, so I found this panel, and it says, "Prayers rise up and blessings shine down," but it not only, and it has these hot air balloons on it, and in the background, in the blue, it has like joy, health, light, peace, kindness, strength, and so love, but it's a beautiful panel, and so by QT, so I'm sure I can find one. Don't think I'll find it for $4, but $3.50 or $4, but I'll find another one. But she loved it, and I had not seen it, but I had not seen this design before, and so but it's a fun panel, and basically the premise was buy one panel, get one free, so I was happy to find two. I'm sorry, I'm having a shift here because I have my smallest dog pushing me out of the chair. So I've got a couple little stacks. I found this, and I just thought it was fun. It's a Hoffman print, and I just thought it was beautiful. Another lady in front of me had this print, and it got passed to the lady in front of me, and I only took a couple yards so the lady behind me could have some. I think it got passed 3 or 4 times, but I just thought it was a colorful, fun print. This I got, and I wish they would have had it in blue, but I make these grocery bag holders that are chickens, and you hang them up by their feet, and you put your grocery bags in the butt, and this type of pattern makes a very nice chicken. I don't know why. You could make them out of anything, but I didn't want a tube. 4 years ago, I just didn't want the tube to put my grocery bags in, so I saw this chicken, and they wanted like $15 for the pattern. Well, I finally found it on a German channel, and I got a partial translation and figured it out. And so, but this I really liked. I had gotten something similar to this at Walmart, but they only had the light purple in in fat quarters. The other was a really dark on the yardage. I don't know why Waverly did this, but this is nice because it has shading. And I will probably use it for other than just chickens. Oh, I'm going to put this over here and get another little stack. Oh, and then I had an enabler. I was not able to take any of my friends with me on this trip. But there was this lady, she must have been in her 80s, and she was collecting bolts like you wouldn't think. And she was like, "Oh, I'll show you one. Oh, isn't this beautiful? And this goes with it. You need some of this." And then her little cranky self came out and said, "If I let you have a little bit of each of these, you'll make sure that I get my bolts back, and you'll make sure you watch that nobody takes my bolts." Yes, ma'am. And so, yeah, I didn't turn down. And this actually, I think, is called Cat Antics. That's really a weird name by Bernadette. Cat Artistry by Peggy Collins. Well, she was hoarding this turquoise. And I was like, okay, I'll just have the two. Well, right as I finished cutting, she says, "Oh, you didn't get any of this. You need to take a little bit of this. And I'm going to run to this cutting table and do my end of bolts. I'll be back. You watch my things." I'm like, yeah. She was a character and a lot of fun. Well, right at the last minute after I got the turquoise, she ran back and she says, "I know you really, really like this." She says, "So you've been very nice to watch my bolts." She says, "So you can have a couple of this, but make sure that I get the rest back." But it's just a beautiful pinwheel purple. I'm not even sure who. She had a lot of Bernatex, so I would not Bernatex. Yeah, Benartex. This is from the Grizzly Gulch Gallery. But it's just really a pretty. Doesn't have a name. And I think she had Stonehead. She had a lot. I mean, if I would have, I was scrimping birthday, Christmas money, and I pretty much kept to my budget because of the sale. So, hi, Michelle. Welcome in. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining in. But it was funny how I found a stranger who was a regular there because she lived around the corner, who was a real character who was enabling. And then I got some of this. Now, this is from, this was like a Stella. This is a deer Stella. And I'm not always a big pink person, but I really like the combination. And I know you can't, it's hard to see, but these are like a goldish brown with like a little crosshatch in the paws. And I just thought that it was beautiful. And I killed the bolt for the last of this that came from the Carolina Shop Pop, because not only does it have symbols from the Carolinas, it's the last. I found out right as it was closing that this is the last shop pop that they're going to do between North Carolina and South Carolina, which is kind of sad. Because they're splitting us up. They're putting South Carolina with somebody, and they're putting us with Tennessee, and I think, I don't know, Virginia, West Virginia, that kind of thing. But I went ahead for like 70% off, got the last of this, because this is actually really great for I Spy or many different things, because you can fussy cut a lot of these shapes out. It's a beautiful color, or you can use it as Carolina fabric. Plus, it's by my favorite guy, Dan Morris, which actually leads me to my last piece, which is a Dan Morris. And I killed the bolt because I just loved. I gotta turn this down because it's too bright. I just loved the colors, and I liked that the background was Black said that if I used it as like a background on a bowl koozie or something like that, or used it for a jar gripper, it wouldn't get as dirty. But I figured there's 100 different things I could do with this because of coloring. And I think maybe there was four yards left on the bolt, and it got me the extra 15% off, which really made it a deal. It's not everybody's jam. I know that my sister would tell me to go back to the 60s, early 70s, but I really like it. Like I said, it's by Dan Morris, who's my favorite creator. So yeah, this is his Creative Group 2024. So they did have quite a bit, and like I said, I knew what I had scrimped from. I knew what I had scrimpted from birthday, Christmas combination money and set aside from a few things I had been able to sell of what I could splurge on. Otherwise I probably would have gotten there's a few other things I would have gotten, and there's some Stonehenge and that kind of thing. But do I need it? Technically no. But it's the one thing in all the stress and crap that's happened that brought me a lot of joy was to be able to go, oh, I forgot about these dudes. There was this, which I really liked. Hi, Deb. How are you doing this morning? Happy New Year. I almost forgot about this pretty butterfly print. And this was the fabric I was looking for because I have a panel that goes with it. It's called Forget Me Not by Blank. I think I'm gonna have to find a little more for what I want to do. But they had the scissors, they had this one, and they had this one, and I couldn't decide about this one. But it was intriguing, so I got a yard of it. The lady sacrificed a yard because she says, "Oh, you have the panel." I just thought it was pretty, and I was just grabbing whatever I thought was pretty, and she had no budget, so she says, "I'll squeeze out a yard for you," which was very kind. And I got this, which goes with the collections. I figured maybe cornerstones or something like that out of that. Um, Hold on, I lost my comment section. Um, I'm glad you could join us, Deb. I've just been sharing my adventure with a bittersweet shopping adventure at a quilt shop that closed on the 27th. You know, if I would have had a little more pocket change and the time, I probably would have gone up on the 27th to see what she had left, and what extra deals. I do know that she has the biggest collection of Civil War reproduction fabrics I have ever seen a quilt shop. And she had decided in November that none of those would be for sale. They would go on special sale online in sometime in January. So, I mean, she had a whole room of shelves. And they said that that wasn't all of it, that there was more of it at her other building across the street that had the repair shop and the long arm business. But I mean, a room like this there had to be, there had to be over 100 bolts of Civil War reproduction because they're whole wall like this, bigger wall, and a third wall. And if she had more over on the other side, I could see why maybe she was saving some of that for a post-closing sale, because that would have added a lot to calculate and sell. I know there were a lot of people trying to crawl behind the shelves and pull some out, and I don't know why people, And it's like, because I saw one lady doing that, and I said, she has that blocked off because that'll go on sale on her site in January. And she goes, oh. And she had all those shelves covered with like 7 beautiful quilts. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's always been kind of an eclectic shop where you find different things, and every shop you go into holds a lot of what the owner um likes, you know. It's kind of a reflection of them. So she had both quirky and traditional. Um she had a good amount of Christmas, but I I have more Christmas than I've been trying to, yeah. And this year was a total flop on getting a lot of my Christmas stuff done because I was, you know, sick into till about a week before I went to Chattanooga, and I had to get ready for that, and then Chattanooga, and then I got back and it was a whirlwind. I thought I would get back and I'd be able to go and unpack and just kinda, and instead I had to fix the car that weekend, and it just was nonstop. And now that I have some time to work on some things, I've had this flare. It started the day before my birthday on the 22nd, but it didn't get bad till this week. But I did call my doctor on Monday and said, listen, you gotta do something, dude. I don't see you till the 15th. So the medicine he gave is helping some. It's not as bad as it's been the last couple days, so that's a blessing. It just happens. We've had weather change, cold, normal, normal temperatures, warm, cold, cold, normal. I've been overdoing a little because sometimes you have to, sometimes you have no choice, sometimes there's nobody else in the house that is mechanically inclined that can fix the car because you can't be without it for a week because you don't have another vehicle. Um, so Michelle, it has been crazy. I've been in North Carolina for, let's see, um, almost 40 years. Um, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I think 30. Anyway, and I don't, last winter was a little bit crazy, but because December started out so cold, I mean, like crazy cold for 3 weeks, and then we had a warm Christmas, and then it kinda normalized a little bit. This year, it started in November, and it has been. I can't remember the last time we had, like, a Sunday at night, the Sunday, I think it was the 13th or 14th of December, it dropped down here to 11 in mid-December, and if we get that low here on the coast, it's the 2nd, 3rd week in February. Our winters are typically mild. It's been nuts. It's been just crazy. Excuse me. I did pick up a couple patterns. One was buy a Annie pattern for a bag. I don't know if I'll do it or not do it, but I couldn't. I know where it is. It slid off the table down behind, and I wasn't in the mood to do the acrobatics to fish it out. But it's one of those that unfolds, and it has all the little pockets and mesh if you wanna make it. But for the price, I thought I can scoop it up and put it on my maybe pile, and if not, it gets paid forward eventually. And I did pick up a binding tool. Um Well, you're closer. You're a little bit on the mountainside, Michelle. But yeah, every year that's the joke. Last year, in 2024, when it was freezing cold for the first 3 weeks of December, which is crazy, we, we joked that, hey, when Christmas hits, it's going to be 60, 65, and that's exactly what happened. And this year, when it started freezing cold in November and we kind of skipped most of fall, it's like, wait, just wait. Christmas is going to be like 60, 70. It's going to be crazy. That's exactly what happened. And then, like 2 days after Christmas, the temperature started dropping. I don't know what it is about that. But we are, it's a tad different being coastal. But yeah, it's been crazy. And it's not just our state. My auntie Patricia was saying that it was snowing like crazy. And I can look here because I put it over here, but I bought this little binding tool that I had been looking at, but I hadn't pulled the gun on, and she only had it in blue. I wish I could have gotten it in a different color, and I'm not sure if I can find where I've shoved it on my table here and maneuvering around. But it's supposed to be helpful in doing your corners. Oh, and I did get this. I'll bring this out. It's supposed to be helpful in figuring out your corners and that kind of thing. It was a last minute thing while I took a stretch because I was in line for so long. Man, I was hurting. And maybe that's part of why, one of the things that kind of built up for this flare. But anyway, I put it in the safe. Oh, there it is. It's under the docks, and not the real one, the one that I got for my birthday in 2024. And I almost forgot. I don't know why, but it was a good deal and looked like it'd be fun to do. This is an Olfa chenille cutter, and it has 4 sizes, and it says that you can use this blade that's safely tucked inside like 24 times before you have to change it. But each one of these, this is small, then you have a medium, a large, and a large. I didn't grab the packaging, but I just thought, well, you know what? That may, yeah, 24 times you can use the blade. Because once you use the blade wherever it is, so you turn this way to select the size you want to cut, or you turn this way to get a new blade edge, and you have 24 uses out of one blade. So, morning, June. Thank you for joining. So, I wouldn't have paid the retail for this, but for the sale price, I thought, might be worth trying. But it was the same thing with this binding tool. The biggest problem is you put this sticker on here that I'm going to have to get some. I have some humans glue remover that works. It's called Unisolve, and it actually works better than the glue be gone, that stuff that really stinks. But you can use it to get, like, when your Band-Aids leave adhesives or if they stick and rip your skin off. If you use that Unisolve, it'll gently loosen them so it doesn't do that. And so it'll even get that cardiac cement from those big, thick, and it has aloe and stuff. It's Smith & Wesson, so I have to get some of that to get this off, but it's called a binding tool. And I wish you would have had a clear one, but it helps with you putting your tails together. And doing your corners. And I figured for what I paid for it was worth trying. Because usually that's where I get myself. I usually end up putting my tails together 2 or 3 times before I get them right. I don't know why. I think there's other things that you can do with it that help out with your binding. I'll have to look it up. Like I said, I've had my eye on it for a couple years. But I could let me tell you what. I can go and when I'm doing the bias, I can go and I can flip my strips and pinch it together and think that they're right, and I'll get them sewn backwards a couple of times before. Not always, but more often than not, I'm redoing that last edge. So maybe this will be in it, and it'll be clear once I take the plastic off the back, and then I can look better at the instructions once I just don't know why they put this on the front, because there's no plastic on the front. So it really makes it, they could have put it on the back. But anyway, so this came out in 2012, and it's called the Mini Binding Tool. I think they have a bigger one. But it shows you, leave a 6-inch opening, you butt the ruler, and you line, and so you don't line them up backwards. And I think it's supposed to help because this is a 1/4 inch with like doing your corners and things. So we'll give it a try. I mean, she put the barcode on the back where this peel will come off, but she put this on there that, good thing it wasn't very much, and I have a secret weapon in my back pocket. So I just thought, I know some people wanted to see because I go on my adventures and I find things, and it's really sad because the quilt shop in my town is very much quilt police. The lady's very greedy, and people like me are looked at kind of like, you know, because they look at the outside, they don't look at my potential skill, but that's okay. I just don't go there unless I absolutely have to, or I really, really, really have an itch to check out the clearance. I just try and so I would go an hour to Jacksonville. And the first place that I frequented a lot in Jacksonville, the landlord all of a sudden wanted to like jack up the rent like 4 times what it was and said you have a month to decide. So they closed. And this other nice little place was a good place once or twice a year to go up, nice people. Now they're gone. So, there is a place in Southport. It actually comes out of the mountains. The actual quilt shop is up in North Carolina, either in the foothills or in the mountains. But she brings there's a place an hour from here in Southport that because the actual quilt shop's like 4.5 hours from me. But she brings in fabrics, and they start at like $5 or $6 a yard, and a lot of them are pre-cut, and then they go. And she has them pre-cut, and they're end of bolts, or they're things that are a little bit older. She has panels and patterns, and she has 3-yard quilt bundles and 5-yard quilt bundles. So she'll come down from her shop every so often to this kind of little vendor mall in Southport and restock. And last time I went there, oh my gosh, I think it's been 7, 8 months. She was having a sale where everything was like an extra 25% off for the month. So I didn't pick up a lot, but I picked up, a few nice pieces. And it's, you know, what people don't understand is I love going to quilt shops and that kind of thing, not just for fabric acquisition, which do I need? No, but will I do? Yes, because it brings me joy. And hopefully this year I will have time to chunk down some of this because I have a lot of projects and I just, with caretaking and 12 surgeries and burying 18 people and 5 dogs and everything else that's happened in the last almost dying twice in mid 2018 to the end of 2018. It's been tight on time. And I'm hoping this year that I'll be able to finally get this organized, get my fabric on boards, and actually get a chunk of things done, start doing some tutorials. I know I've been talking about it for a year, but now that I'm not, now that I was fired as a caregiver, which is pretty good, and it was more, it was more out of not my skill, but out of I don't want accountability and responsibility, and I don't want honesty. And you're the only one that's holding me to that, and you're the only one that's telling the doctor the truth of how something happened so he can treat me correctly and not my version. But it was not what I thought was I thought God would go this way, and God took it this way. But I didn't realize how much time and how much I wasn't taking care of myself, um, because of that. But God knew, and God knew it would be hard, but so hopefully my body will cooperate. That's a big thing. 'Cause I finally got some rest this weekend and was ready to dive in and do some sewing and different things, and then I've had this flare. Actually, my hands look good today. They were my fingers were about this fat for about a week, and it makes yeah, and they don't hurt as bad. So, the taper he sent me was really good, so Yes, Michelle, I would say that he does need to stop parking his car on your foot because that would not be comfortable, especially if he's sitting on it. Um, that's true. Um, yeah, Michelle, it's hard when your fabric store is kinda dark and crowded, and, it's hard to maneuver, and actually, I tuck the bolts under my arm and I prop them on my stump, and I can carry 2 or 3, and I just make trips if I don't have help. And then when she finished cutting the fabric, I started to stack it on my head because I can carry it on my head. And she says, "Oh," the other lady said, "No, no, 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 we'll carry it up front." And I said, "Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just used to having to kinda help myself." But yeah, that's what I usually do. I take it like if they have it folded like this, I take it and I stack it like this, and I put my stack up there, and I go up to the counter and flop it on the counter. That's what I did at Joann's. 'Cause it wasn't always a salesperson or somebody to carry it up front, so I just and if I get a cart, I have to push it with my chest, and carts don't always go straight, so, uh, but, um, it's funny how you end up just adapting. Well, either you adapt or you don't, and I think that's a choice. I've talked to my sister about that, that and I have my bad days where I'm slower. Where I used to be able to do 8 bowl koozies 8 to 10 bowl koozies in a couple hours from start to finish, and now sometimes it takes me a half a day to get 2 completed and 2 half done because I past few years have taken a lot of resources. So sometimes I do get frustrated. I've been frustrated the last couple days because I finally made a Christmas present for myself that I was having time off unless somebody's hair was on fire or it was a dire emergency in the house. And then my body goes, "Nope," you know. But at the same time, I I grieve what I can't do. You know, when I lost my leg to medical malpractice, I had a choice. I either was gonna let it trap me in the house, and I was gonna become bitter and angry and stuck, or I was gonna grieve the loss, which is sometimes a process over time, and I was gonna problem solve how to live, not just be alive, but live. And I think that's the choice we all face, especially when we're getting older and we encounter arthritis or even just normal. Are we going to accept what we can't do the way we used to do it in the time we used to be able to do it and find a different way and or get a little bit of help? Or are we just gonna go, "Well, I can't do it." And then a little part of our world shrinks until there's not. And so, yeah. But I know that I'm a little cray-cray. I'm a little bullheaded. I mean, my main orthopedic doc that keeps me going, he's told me I'm the biggest square peg he's ever had in his practice. Um, and when I met him, he'd been practicing for 12 years before he moved here, and he'd been working with vets as well. And he's been in here almost 8 years. And I know that in like, I think it was June of 2024, I told him that I was sorry that I was one of his successful failures. And he was looking at something on the computer. And he turned around and he said, "What'd you say?" And I said, "Well, I'm sorry I'm one of your successful failures." I said, "Normally you get people patched up and you get them maintenance and they come in every 3 or 6 months or a year." And I said, and he says, "Oh no." He says, "Actually," he says, "there are times I want to pull my hair out, and yeah, I burn the textbooks with you, 'cause I've never met anybody." But he says, "You're my inspiration," 'cause he says, "You go out and you do, and you come in here all kinda busted up, and you get patched up, and you go." And I said, "Well, it's terrorist stock, and I can't let it win," you know? Um, and but I say there are days, the last couple of days have been a real struggle because of, you know, uh, different things and physically, and you get tired. But then you figure it out, you come back, you do a video, you pet some fabric. I mean, look at this. You come in here and you hide. And I mean, how many places do you have dachshunds flying with heart balloons? And the cool thing is, and I hope we're still going okay because um uh, I got my Joyce's comment. It could be that I waxed. But the cool thing about that fabric, if you give me a minute, is the fact that I found some on Etsy. Oh, last year, I think it was in the winter of 25. I have to think that we're in 26 now. On a shop on clearance, I found some Alexander Henry fabric. And I thought, oh, for the price, this is kind of adorable. But it has a similar theme, which really kind of cracks me up. I'm not a big Alexander Henry. You too. Mona, you enjoy your breakfast. Have a great New Year. Thank you for stopping by. It has the Alexander Henry flair to it, but it also has a dachshund here with little wings with his bow. But I mean, just this is typical Alexander Henry. There's only 2 or 3 pieces of his that I mean, I know a lot of people really liked his style. I got Merman and I got this, and I had gotten some Fireman that was on clearance at Joann's, and I was told that a certain friend of ours, Mr. Mike, would like it. And so it went to Mr. Mike. But this kinda in a way goes with this. I don't know. But I didn't think about that. I just saw dachshunds and really cute dogs like these corgis and pugs and German shepherds and heart glasses, and knew that, you know, with my Hobby Lobby, they cut the fabric section down by 2/3 a couple years ago, and I think they're regretting that. Joe! Hello, Joe. Hey, yo, Patty, you back? And so, and it's on the other part of town than I normally go to, but I've been going over there. You know, I've made friends with some people there, and I check in with them, and, you know, and I bought, you know, I got a couple remnants that I didn't show you, and I got a couple things. I got the hearts and the dogs, and I got a little bit of the rainbow, because I have rainbow people. So, but when I got home, I was looking at it, and I thought about this Alexander Henry piece that I've ran across randomly when I was looking for something else. Oh, I think it was 9, 10 months ago. It was after he passed. And I think they had it for $5 a yard. So I was like, yeah. And they didn't have much left. And I thought, and I have a friend who has a Chiweenie, and at some point I'm going to do her something with the little Chiweenie. And I like my dogs. Well, when I got home, I was thinking, wait a minute, I got that Alexander Henry fabric. It might go with this pink fabric. And I haven't even showed you. Oh my gosh. Auntie Patricia, Happy New Year. Welcome in. I'm glad Joe's here. I'm getting ready to wind down. Wind down, so you'll have to look back at all the fun stuff, because I have to do a part 2, because my friend invited me to a Christmas party. I've not had like a friend invite me to a Christmas party before. I've gone to business ones and the obligated church ones, and it was a lot of fun. And it was about a week before she had it. I think this was on that Sunday that was so cold here. So I think 17th was Wednesday. So I think it was like the 14th. Well, she invited me about a week before, and then a couple days before she texts me and she says, I'm destashing. Please stay after the party and go in my sewing room and have fun. Take what fabric you want. And she actually sent me a picture of kind of this wall she had. She said, make a list. And so I have that. And you know, it's a bittersweet thing, because when I got her to sit down, because her blood sugar was low, and eat something, I said, what's going on? I said, this isn't like you to, and physically she's not doing well. And I'm like, well, I got that feeling when you texted me and told me to run your D-stash, and then you sent me a couple days later a picture and told me to make a list. Sucks to get old. But I have that, and it's very special. And it was, you know, and it was funny, because I pulled out some things, and I said, now listen, if you need it, you tell me, because I really don't want you to totally quit. And I said, or if I've pulled out enough, you tell me. And then she got in the closet, and she pulled out this bin, and she said, oh, this is PUL, waterproof solids. And she says, you need to take some of these. So there was quite a bit in there, and it was this kind of, it's not your normal waterproof. It was, I have to show it to you, but it's kind of soft and supple, so it's very usable for bags or those type of things. So I pulled out 3 or 4 pieces. She says, "Now this is going to work." And she grabbed them and stuffed them in. And she says, "I know you don't want this faux leather, but you're taking the whole bin, so you have to have the faux leather." So there's a whole bin of that. And then she pulled out this other bin and said, "Do you need batting scraps?" I said, "I can always use batting." She looked in there and she says, "Oh, well, whatever's in here is yours. You take that bin too." So that was an adventure to see what was in that bin. And great lady, very, very, very talented. She paints. Um, One of the things I won in their little Christmas thing was this beautiful. She took a shell and she put a turtle on it and decorated it for an ornament, and it's gorgeous. It's on my tree. In fact, I need to take it down and put it in here so I can see it every day, so it doesn't get put in a box. But yeah, it was a great time. But I knew to the evening, she said a couple times that she thought this might be her last party. I hope not. I hope not. But usually it's just like with my sister, she's been pushing like never before for Christmas since September. And I mean, even getting the bushes out front trimmed and stuff, and it's like that really doesn't have to do with Christmas, but your body sometimes knows. So anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed the fun. I already cut some of this frog stuff for doing the keychains, and I don't know if Auntie Patricia and Joe saw this, but this stuff glows in the dark. So the outlines on the froggins glow in the dark. And I had a request for some frog keychains, and in the quilt shop that was closing, I found this. And of course, the person who wants the frogs is a Carolina fan, so the Carolina blue, but I really like the multicolored. So these are cut. So what I will do is I will make this into, I will fold this up into a key fob, and I will sew the whole thing. And then I will cut them in increments to make the different sizes. I have found it so much easier to do that than to do, whatever size you're going to do. Cut it whatever, because I started the first round or two, normally it's like 12 inches to make one that goes around most people's wrists, 11 to 12. So I would do that, and I found that it takes less time to go ahead and fold a width of fabric piece and sew it, and then make your sizes, and this will make typically 4, maybe 5 key fobs, depending. So to me, in my brain, it just works better. I don't know about your brain. Now, I know you're thinking, well, you cut this wider than 3 inches. Well, yeah, I did, because I wanted to make sure when I folded it, I had the right looking, I had the frog I wanted to see. There was one frog, there's a frog here, right there. And if you fold it a certain way, you get the best for your 1 inch looking frog. And then you got this guy peeking. So I cut this one a little bit wider so I could get the best look. and have the most frog bodies in my 1 inch. And I will do that. I will cut certain pieces slightly wider and sacrifice a little for the scrap bin to get the best look that I'm going to get for placement. And that's what I do. I fold it before I cut it. I fold it and I go, okay, what am I going to have looking and showing if I cut it at 3 inches or 2.5 or 3 inches? And if it doesn't look like I'm going to get what I want to see in my 1 inch, like on this one, if you fold it just right, get a really good look right there. And you have enough to tuck under. So I will pre-fold when I'm using directional to make sure that it fits. I don't just cut. You basically need 3 inches because you're going to fold it in half. And then you're going to do your 1 inch, and then you're going to tuck these edges a ½ inch in on each side. I don't just cut a ½ inch slice. I check beforehand because I'm not gonna give you just a bunch of frog butts and legs and go, oh, it's a frog key fob. So this one's a little wider because I wanted to be able to fiddle with it and make sure that I got the most frog for the deal. This other red piece I did a little wider. This piece I did a little wider because I wanted a particular, I'll have to remember now, I think it's this guy. I wanted particular colors in there. Not much, just a little. And that'll be used in something. Maybe I'll put the glow in dark scraps all in a clear ornament. Then you'd have this trippy ornament that glows in the dark with all kinds of different glow in the dark shapes. That's a weird idea. I think that's an awesome idea. Do you really think today with the snow on Patricia, the sun's gonna give you 10 minutes of vitamin D? But that's me. I know, if I'm gonna do something, I know it can't be perfect. And I know I'm like many of us that tend towards being a perfectionist. But if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do kind of the best that I could do. I'm not gonna, well, I noticed with mask making, I made masks, but I gave mine away. I didn't get into the selling frenzy. I gave them to people who needed them. Made them for family, for pharmacists and medics and my doc's 4 children. But I noticed people were going, this mask is $12 or $15 because it's Star Wars. And it would have one tiny fin of the Millennium Falcon, one tiny little piece, or the fin of one of the ships, because they weren't fussy cutting, so you actually got a ship on the mask, because they might lose a couple masks from that yardage. They were just chopping it up, and if all you got was a little tiny antenna from one of the ships, or the rounded top of this much of R2-D2, then they figured they could label it Star Wars and charge 2 to 3 times as much. And I'm like, that felt wrong to me. If I'm gonna make something that's Star Wars, I'm gonna fussy cut it. So, but that's me. That's my brain. I do that with a lot of times I'll do that with my bowl koozies. This one isn't a good example, but like if I know that there's something fun and I can put it in the center without sacrificing too much and make it like the centerpiece. I did that with a giraffe recently. I will trim it just a little different, just so that it falls in the center, because I think it's cool. Um, it's my brain, and everybody did boo. June, that sounds like fun. There were light bulbs in it. They glow in the dark. I'll have to check that out because I haven't seen the light bulbs. I've got mushrooms, and I've got gnomes, and I've got the peace bird, and I've got frogs. I've been collecting. I've got a little bit of astronaut. I've got dinosaurs. I got glow in the dark dinosaurs that I found on clearance. So, and then I won. The last thing I won was in October was 5 spools of Mettler glow in the dark thread. Michelle gets one of those. I gotta get that out. But I got 4, and I've never played with glow in the dark thread before. So I got 4 of those little spools like this to play with. So that should be fun. I know in 2020 I saw some glow in the dark thread at Joann's, and I was thinking about it, and I went back and they didn't have any, and they never restocked it. So, oh, well, that was a nice surprise in the scrap bin. I don't know why. I really like glow it. You know, I don't have a huge ton of it, but it just adds fun to it if it's done right. um, so, and these frogs, they're pretty cool because you just get the outline. And the dino fabric, there was 2 different kinds. One had the dinosaurs, and then they would have a glow in the dark of each kind. And then in the same collection, they had like the outline of the dino with some other glow in the dark effects. So, and one day I will probably do a crazy patchwork with all these different glow in the dark fabrics, just to have like this glow in the dark patch on my wall. Probably take all the scraps. Like this year, I definitely want to get my exploding heart quilt done. I have both the mini and the big one. I've had the big one for almost 3 years, and I've had the mini one since the fall because I got such a good deal on it. And I thought, well, maybe I'll start with the mini one and get my feet wet. And I had a friend who was going to do it with me, but she's in the weeds right now. So, and my dad's Memorance quilt that we will use in love. I mean, there's a stack of, my list is long because I haven't been afforded the time, but now I have some time, so. But I'll have to do, hey Joe, if you have a Sam's and a Sam's Club, I tried their Maker's Mark protein drink, and it actually is pretty good for the price. Let me see. Wait a minute. What a bottle. Okay. See, the dogs take the bottles, but it's 30 grams. Now, the lady had told me she'd tried chocolate and she really liked it, but I think it was $17 for 12 of these 30-gram protein. And they weren't bad. Muscle milk I still prefer. It's my favorite, but for the price, these actually weren't bad. I've tried a few and always gone back to muscle milk, but I was encouraged to try these, and I thought $17 for 12. I'll try them. Yes, my dogs, when I finish them, they chew on them, and then I pick them up and throw them away. But that's an option if you want to look, because this lady who was giving out samples, I asked her, and she had done the samples of this in chocolate, and she said she really liked it, and I thought, well, what can it hurt? So a couple weeks ago, this was a couple weeks ago, but like I said, it's got a good flavor. It's not gritty. It's got 30 grams of protein, which is really good. Um, do I prefer muscle milk? Yes. Um, but muscle milk's more expensive, except for right now. I could get the 32-gram bottle, 12 count. All right, now Amazon has them on sale for $22 a case. Oh, which is a good deal. Um, so I've, being the first of the month, I've gotten a couple cases of those to stack in here. Um, but usually they're not that good of a deal. So that's just an option if you want to try. Um, it's a, you know, I kept going back and forth because I'm like, do I want to get a whole case? Because what if it's like the core milk, Fairfield's core milk? I choked that down. Um, when I was on the trip, I couldn't find muscle milk at the convenience store, so I thought I'll try this core milk. I'm sorry I didn't like it. Um, but I did finish it. But it's an option, and like I said, Amazon has them on sale right now. The 32-gram muscle milk is on sale for a really good deal. I think it's still on sale today. Um, yeah, well, I can't do chocolate in that amount because it sparks migraines because of the caffeine. It's not as bad as a caffeinated drink, but I found out when I was 23 that my one food trigger for, which is really weird because normally caffeine helps when you have a migraine, but one of my triggers is caffeine. Now I can take chocolate in small amounts now to get my chocolate caramel out, but if I did like a whole shake, I would suffer the consequences. Um, and nothing caffeine. So yeah, it's a bummer. It took me 2.5 years um, to get off of all my wonderful coffee and Coca-Cola and chocolate. But it does make a big difference, migraine wise. So um, I do know that I don't know. You have to check with your Sam's Clubs because they do sample days. And I know that she said there was a sample day for these coming up. So, yeah, because sometimes I find things like they had this Tyson lightly breaded chicken that's high in protein. I mean, packed with protein because they put cheese and stuff in it. And they had that on sample, and it was really good. And for the price, you just pop it in the oven, and you got these chicken nuggets that are high in protein because they added cheese and other things to the chicken, and they don't taste bad. Well, I don't know if I would have bought a bag of them, even though they were a reasonable deal, if I hadn't been shoved the sample. So, okay, Auntie Patricia, I will. Um, I'll send you. My favorite is the muscle milk. They make it in 3 layers, 25, 32, and 40. Um, and then I'll send you a picture of this because I just finished the last one. And I have one dog, my old man, my 11.5-year-old dachshund. He waits for the bottles so that he can take the lid off and kind of lick any residue. And then I have a bottle graveyard, and then I got to clean it up. Um, but um, but I appreciate it, Joe. The tip for the protein because I have to go low fiber for my intermittent IBS. But in November, both my GP and my orthodox, all three of them said protein. You got to kick up and kill your protein because you're not. So your tip on the muscle milk really made a difference. And I have tried a few others, but you're right. For me, that one tastes the best. But this one's a close second. I mean, it's a good substitute. So I'm going to get off of here. I've kept you long enough. I love you guys. I hope you have a great new year. at this point, after the last 8 New Years, 7 New Years, I'm not making any big resolutions. Oh boy, this is going to be, I have rebellious hope that this will be a better, easier year. And I have rebellious hope that I can get some things done and I can rebuild my body. I had really gone into 25 thinking no surgeries, take a year off, and I had 3 and broke my back. So that one didn't work. So I go with rebellious hope over making a list of I'm going to get this done. Because I know with my life, I mean, it's like I finally got some rest over the weekend and was doing better physically, and I got the psoriatic arthritis flare went from, manageable at moderate to severe. And so since, I don't know what day it is, it's Thursday, the last 3 days have just been, I've been functional. And that's unusual. My pain's got to be quite a bit. 1, for me to call my doctor and hope he's in over the holiday. And 2, for it just to put me in a functional state. And yeah, I was whiny and not happy because I finally had some time and rest to sew and do some projects and work in here, and I didn't have the body. But I am 61, and I've used crutches for be almost 27 years. 27 years in February. And I've done it one-legged since 2001, so that'll be May of 26 will be 24 years. Since that malpractice fiasco. So I have not gently used this model. This model's road tested and experienced and been up and down the mud flats and across the salt flats, through the desert and up the mountains and around. I mean, it hasn't, so. I love you too, Auntie Patricia, and thank you very much. Thank you, June, for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. I love y'all. I appreciate you hanging with me. I appreciate you popping on, popping in and out, watching replays. It means a lot to me. And I'll be back on. Like I said, I got that D-stash I got over there that I got to put away. And there's more fun to come. So, I've got that bin in there that random lady I met on the Thursday before the Thursday I was out getting parts for the car. I was wearing my hat that I made for Christmas in Food Line. We got to talking 2 or 3 times as we bumped into each other, and then in the parking lot we had a random, and she threw a bin of vintage fabric that she was going to get rid of in the back of my car. I went through it. There's some nice pieces there, but really haven't had time to sort. So we got that. And I got this. If you're interested, when I went to the Hobby Lobby last time, they had a sale in their wooden aisle, and I found these spools. And these spools are perfect for making yo-yo Christmas trees. Yeah, they're not vintage, but it's hard to find vintage spools of different sizes for making they just make a nice base for the yo-yo Christmas tree. And at half off, I think it was $3 for 20 of these. And all you do is layer different sizes of yo-yos to make a Christmas tree. And you can attach it to the spool. Well, this is, Like I said, a lot of times, if I can find them inexpensively, I'll use different sizes of vintage spools. Well, guess what? Hobby Lobby has different sizes of these. I think these are all big ones. But they have smaller ones, which I just thought might be fun to play with. See, they got little baby ones. And they got one that's even smaller, I think. But anyway, oh yeah, they got itty bitty ones. I don't know what I'm going to do with the itty bitty ones. I may put them in with the gnome. One of my homemade gnomes. And then I got some more of these hearts because I tell you what, $1 for 12 of these to make pocket hearts reminders. Stock up on those because that's, you know, the other stuff was just Christmas. But yeah, I needed some more angel heads. And I found these that have a flat bottom, and I thought they might be better for my yo-yo angel. Wait a minute. They have no hole in the top of their head. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to do surgery because my yo-yo angels, the string comes out the top. I just saw the flat bottom and thought it would go on the button easier. But they have no hole in their head. So I'd either have to drill through to make the hole or drill this way so it doesn't splinter. Well, we'll have to think about that. But I thought I had a good idea because I just saw the bottom and it was flat. And I've been using the round ones for my yo-yo angels. And sometimes it's hard to kind of get it to sit just right on that top button that holds the body part together. But I didn't catch that, well, 16 for $1.50. Maybe we'll do surgery. I'll put it in a vise and add a hole for the top. We'll do something with it. Because it's a good idea. It's a good idea to try. And that's the thing. I look around and I kind of haunt the sales and I pray a lot. And God's blessed me a lot. And I do have kind of an underground. If you ask my friends, I have kind of an underground. I feel like I have like an underground fabric railroad going on. Supply depot going on here. Because I don't mind sharing what God's blessed me with. If I can. So, I love you. Hey, Katie. Thank you for popping in. I'm just trying to finish up. I'm doing the long southern goodbye. But Happy New Year, everyone. You know I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm going to hop off of here and see what kind of trouble I can get into because it's already 11:30. Oh, I've been on an hour and a half too. That's probably wrong enough. But I appreciate those that popped in. I know some of y'all had to go do things. I appreciate those that hung out. I appreciate, again, those that watched the replay. Those that have stayed with my channel even though I'm still building it and trying to get it all figured out and find time to be more regular and get my tutorials and stuff done. God knows. Creek don't rise. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate all of you. I do. And it's fun to share. I know I had some friends going, wait a minute, you hit this quilt shop that was closed and you gotta, you know. So, like I said, if I'd had a bigger little stash of Christmas birthdays, my Christmas and my birthday always get kind of lumped together, or whatever, I would have picked up 2, 3 other, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'd have picked up some more because she had some really nice solids, garden solids. She had some really nice Stonehenge There's a crosshatch green. There was a couple other things that she brought out while we were waiting in line. But I wasn't going to get out of line because, like I said, I stood in line a little over 2 hours. And that man, I tell you what, I was done out. That was hard. That was hard. The checkout taking that long. But it was worth it. It was worth it. So I love y'all. Have a wonderful day. And I'll pop up again soon. I think in Quiltfex doing another one of their ongoing afterglow thingies. So I think I saw something pop up about 20 minutes ago that she'll be on. So you may want to hop over there and see. I don't know if she's doing those live or recorded because I've been busy. But you might want to go check out Debbie and see what she's up to. I love y'all. Happy New Year again.